Hi guys, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. In true old school fashion, I'm very excited about this video because it's something I'm very passionate about, as you all know from my LSC days back in the day of sort of XRP and everything about it. There's been quite a bombshell drop today by Ripple announcing a new partnership with Travelex. And just like in the LSC days, I'm going to cover a side of things that most people don't cover because they're just like excited about the partnership and all the rest of it, but what it could mean, and especially why I'm so excited about this. Way back when we were all super excited about the MoneyGram partnership, and then because of the lawsuit and everything else that happened with the SEC, we lost MoneyGram. Yeah, it did hurt, but to me, this is actually bigger, and I'm going to go into it in more detail as we sort of go through this video. And the possibilities for this partnership far outweigh the possibilities for the MoneyGram partnership. And it's about time that the XRP community had some good news. And I think this could literally bring some good news. So we all know from the announcement today that they've enabled enterprise payments into Brazil with Travelex. It's fantastic, but what does it actually mean? So enterprise payments to me mean very much more sort of business to business, and I think this could tie in a lot more with how Ripple are trying to move forward with funding and how they're trying to move forward with access to the credit markets. And that's an important thing in crypto. Crypto needs access to credit. So it is literally what's been missing in crypto. It has no access to credit. And this gives it access to credit through Ripple's funding. So they've got this line of credit product where it means that basically you'll pay a fee to Ripple for a line of credit in XRP, and then you can use it and then you can return it, and it just allows the way money moves around the world today to be used more efficiently, because the money that moves around the world today is literally in credit. So nothing actually moves. It's balances on screens moving from person to person to person to person, or from bank to bank to bank to bank, then to person to person to person to person. So this line of credit that Ripple introduced, they introduced it back in 2020, and they had a beta version which they launched sort of last year. But it's designed for those sort of businesses, those small to medium enterprises that are struggling to source liquidity and struggling to source credit, that want to use a different product. And it allows a company to move away from a traditional nostro vostro into a more on-demand liquidity over time. So they can reduce their nostros by 10% while using a line of credit until everything balances out, until that money comes full circle round back to them. So it's a transitory tool as well as a expansion tool. So Travelex are a big bank where it comes to the fact that they are solely for foreign exchange. So that's literally what Travelex are. So I'm going to explain a little bit about them. They're approved by the Central Bank of Brazil to operate exclusively in foreign exchange. And they've got more than 30, 40 years. And they're a big, big, big company. And everywhere you go to an airport, everywhere you see a Travelex ATM, or everywhere you see sort of end-to-end points. But I think there's a couple of things that people don't know about Travelex, which is they are a very big wholesale banker. And just to bring that into perspective, so wholesale supply of banknotes to global customer base of 200 financial institutions and central banks with a 25% global share. So if you don't know what a banknote is, if you don't know what wholesale banking is this. It is large sums of money lent to financial institutions in the money markets. They source money. They move large sums of money. Now, I'm not saying off the bat that this product is going to be used on a large scale. I very much think that they're going to dip their toe. But I think this is a very strategic partnership, as in, you know, the possibilities of using on-demand liquidity are insane. Because if you can supply wholesale banking, and if you've got access to credit, which they've got access to credit from Ripple's line of credit, which means Ripple have got access to credit through Travelex. So it works both ways. So this could be a very large money-making sort of money market that they're getting involved in. Ripple was purely designed, Ripple Net was purely designed for moving money globally and frictionless. it can only do that effectively when it has the tools at the end. So that last mile hurdle is always the hardest mile to overcome. It's been covered a lot in the community, so we all understand what the last mile is, but it's getting that payment from the last bank to the person. There's no point in using on-demand liquidity if it's going to then take 3 or 4 days to get to the end user. Their traditional banking rails, they're T+1, T+2, T+3 days, all of those things. But if it's got great banking rails, which Brazil has got great banking rails, and Latin America is a massive market. There's a lot of money that moves from the States to Latin America. There's a lot of money that moves from Latin America there's a lot of investment in it as well. And Travelex are a massive, massive player in moving money globally. They provide money to central banks. They provide money to large banks. They source liquidity. They source financing. They have insane nostro operations all over the world. And I think on-demand liquidity can help reduce those demands on the nostro vostro accounts. And because of COVID and because of what's happened, the global economy has shifted into how it operates. So a lot of countries are focusing on what they can do in-house now, and how do we increase our own manufacturing, how do we increase... So that money moving around the world isn't quite as seamless as it was before. And there is a massive crunch in liquidity in the actual money markets. There is a massive demand on the Federal Reserve's repo at the moment, which is sort of like their lender of last resort program. And traditionally in the repo markets, you've got a lot of interbank lending, but a lot of people have been tapping the Fed window because there's a lot of banks just not lending money. There's a lot of banks just not actively participating in those markets. A, because there's too much risk. B, because they just don't have the funds available. And that's all to do with how money moves. And in this globalization phase that we're in now, where we've still not got these seamless payments, these corridors are reducing naturally over time. And they're reducing naturally because inflation's high, the money just isn't there. No one's really sure what to do. We're technically in a recession anyway because we've had 2 quarters of negative growth. I know there's been some controversial asks about, is it really a recession because you've had 2 negative growth? And I'm sort of in the camp where I don't think it should be phrased a recession, but it is a recession. This whole thing where people just expect the economy to grow and grow and grow and never shrink is a bit insane to me. An economy can't do that. It can't just be a constant growth. That would literally mean that somebody is buying a car, and we don't do this all the time. So I think naturally we should have these natural pullbacks. Whether you want to call it a recession or not call it a recession, it doesn't, that doesn't bother me. But an economy goes through these expansions and contractions. So you'll go through a year when you're at home that you have to make renovations and you have to make payments and you have to upgrade and so you'll have an expensive year maintaining your home. But the next year you haven't got those. So is it a contraction? No, it's just a one-off, not a one-off payment, but like an upgraded payment that you've had to make over time. And the way the economy works is just like that as well. We're going to go through expansion, we're going to go through retraction. The problem that we're in is every time we've come to a retraction in the last sort of 12 years, they've tried to push that away by inflating money supply and injecting capital, because it's very much reliant on this growth now, because everything's so intrinsically tied, which is the problem with the nostro vostros and the way money moves, which is why this is such a big deal. Because these are a massive wholesale supplier. As I said, 25% of the global market for supplying foreign exchange around the world to wholesale banking. Wholesale banking is this here. It is large clients and other banks, other financial institutions, government agencies, large corporations. It is the opposite of retail banking. So, and that's what Travelex specialise in. They specialise in wholesale banknotes, wholesale banking, supplying money, moving money. And Latin America can be a really nice testbed. It's a big market for them to operate in. And if it goes well, it's got the potential to do so much more for Ripple's on-demand liquidity than the MoneyGram partnership ever could. So when it comes to sourcing liquidity, these are the people that source the liquidity for MoneyGram. These are the people that source liquidity for JPM. These are the people that source liquidity for... And it's a really big partnership to have. And if we can get that instant seamless line of credit, So to fund these payments, and then we've got credit on the other hand coming back to Ripple, then I can't see sort of an end use case that this won't be good for them. I've always covered these sort of relationships, whether it's in my Telegram notes. I'm looking forward to covering these sort of relationships moving forward again. But I think it's really important that people realise that this could be quite a big thing. And you can't hit home enough on that, because the XRP community has been through a rough time with the SEC, and it's really nice now that they've got some great news. And this is a big partnership that took a long time to sort of go through. And because it's not based in the States, and because they're not particularly worried about sort of how the SEC is handling the XRP token, and with Ripple's line of credit, they don't need to worry about sourcing it in the States, because there's a lack of liquidity in the States in the XRP token, just because there's a lack of participation from the crypto exchanges. So it has greatly hampered the liquidity that was available to them in those corridors when moving money from the States to Latin America. So to me, I think they'll have to use this line of credit, and I think it makes more sense to use this line of credit where they're just paying one fee with a trusted partner. And then it won't have a massive impact, I don't think, until this SEC lawsuit is settled. But I think in the meantime, if they can actually prove this line of credit works, and then they can start driving market demand into the token, and I think you'll see more and more open corridors and more market participation. And then you'll see more corridors opening up with this. So at the moment, it's just Travelex in Latin America. You know, they could very easily expand that to New Zealand, to Australia, where they've got a very big footprint. They've got a very big footprint in Asia, in the UK, in Europe. And if they can seriously impact the cost of moving money and their cost of, then they can greatly advantageous, you know, make benefits to their shareholders and their upkeep, which is all Ripple's ever said that they're going to aim to do. If we can drive costs down, which benefit the users, which also benefits the shareholders. So it benefits everybody. The lower your costs, the more everybody benefits. You benefit from a user, they benefit from it from a profit point of view. So again, really enjoying sort of making these videos the same as I used to make them for the Telegram group. And I'm going to cover more and more of this moving forward. Everyone seems to be a bit focused on the SEC lawsuit, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, you know, to the XRP ledger. New amendments that are being voted on for NFT functionality, and the hooks and smart contracts coming with Flare and all that sort of stuff. So all that sort of stuff's in the pipeline. It's all coming, and I'm megally excited about it, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you. As always, these are just my opinions. It's not advice, it's not facts, it's just what I perceive these, you know, this playing out and how this is going to play out. If everything goes well, it might all go horribly wrong, who knows, but you know, it shouldn't. So there's no reason why it shouldn't, because you've got access to credit on all fronts. So it should be a successful partnership by all accounts, and it's had a lot of time and a lot of thought put into it. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Please do everything that you do with a normal YouTube video or whatever. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.